I did witchcraft on my sister's baby and now everything is out of control. Part 2-ish? Or the real ending? Let me just tell you what the fuck happened. Apparently, where I got that first story, they just paraphrased it. They didn't even fucking give us all the details. And it didn't end like that, where the witch was like, someone needs to be sacrificed. Let me tell you the real story. And if you have no idea what I'm talking about, go watch this video on my page and then come back here. So for those of you that were like, why is the baby and the sister the only one suffering and not Julian? Yep, Julian was suffering as well. So some of the things that would happen to both Julian and the sister was, as they were sleeping, they would have dreams of this entity attacking them, hurting them in the dreams, and when they would wake up, they would have bruises all over their bodies in the exact same spot that this entity was beating them up in the dreams. Another thing was that her sister was not just taking the baby's nails, she was also doing it to herself. The nails on her hands and her toes. And the girl that's telling us the story, the one that's like, I did this witchcraft on them, they have no idea, she started getting scared too. The time where she ended up going to live with her sister, she ended up thinking, oh my gosh, like what if this entity tells my sister to do something to me and I end up dead? Yeah, you should have been scared. Like, what the heck? You did this. She also tells us that she starts seeing things in that house as well. It almost felt like this entity was living in her sister's room. When the sister and the baby were not in that room, they can still hear somebody in there. Also, both Julian and the sister ended up going to the hospital because obviously something was wrong. When she would go to the doctors, like they wouldn't find anything, but they would still try to treat her because at that point, this entity was telling her that if she ate, it would take her and the baby out of this world. So she was very malnourished and they were helping her with that. But yeah, she stopped eating because of this entity as well. When I tell you that it got even worse than what we heard on that first video, the sister would also end up breaking the baby's fingers and admitting to her sister that this entity said that she needed to go to the roof with the baby and just drop the baby. She mentions that her sister and Julian would also start vomiting randomly and it would always be just blood coming out. So there was one night when her sister came up to her and admitted to her that she couldn't take it anymore, that she was contemplating taking her own life because she didn't want to continue to hurt the baby, hurt herself, and she didn't know how all of this was going to end. That same night, she decided to watch over them. So she said that she was going to sit with her sister on the bed and the baby and just watch out and make sure nothing happened. It was in that moment where she's watching the baby asleep and her sister sleeping next to her baby where she's like, I should have never done this. And at this point, her sister was like skin and bones. She has not been eating. Her hair had fallen out. She was missing fingernails and toenails. Like she was looking very, very bad. As she's also looking at the baby with no fingernails, with the fingers all twisted, that's when she was like, why did I do this? I did all of this for a man. So that's the moment she decided, yeah, I'm not gonna let my sister and her baby die because of a guy, because you know of what they did to her. So she ends up going to the witch and saying that she doesn't want this anymore, she wants to get rid of it, and the witch helps her out. The witch tells her that she needs to go to the cemetery where they buried the work, take the thing out of the ground and apologize to the entity that they had sent to do all of this to her sister. She indeed did everything that the witch told her to do, but obviously that was not the end. The witch explained that the sister and the baby also needed a cleaning. She said that she paid for that cleaning and what she saw during that process was insane. Also, this cleaning didn't last like one day. They had to continuously go to that witch to get several cleanings for weeks. And obviously the sister was like, who could do such a thing to us? Like, who would send some brujeria to me and the baby? And the witch had her back because he was like, people that don't like you maybe. He never told the sister that it was her, and she never told her sister that she had done this to them. She explains that in some of those cleanings, her sister would start vomiting hair. The witch also at some point had her inhaling like this black smoke. It was intense, and that's just some of the things that happened. She is not telling us every single thing that happened during the cleaning. So eventually she would stop hearing the voices. There was no more shadows. The entity that was bothering her was completely gone. As for Julia, he was also going through the same thing her sister had gone through, but that his family took him to another witch and that the witch healed him. I wonder if they told him who did the brujeria. So now 2 years have passed and she says that her sister has returned back to normal. She explains that her sister had even asked her for forgiveness for the betrayal that she did to her and that she did forgive her. And how could she have not forgiven her after everything she did? Her sister and Julian actually got back together, but they moved away from where she lives, far away from where she lives. She explains that at this point she doesn't feel anything about it. She just wants them to be happy, have a good life with their daughter, but like, yeah bitch, how could you have any say so in how they're gonna live their life now? She tells tells us that she knows what she did was really bad, but what they did to her was also insane. She also asks what we would have done in her situation and warns us that maybe if this happens to you, yeah, don't do witchcraft. And that's the real ending to that story. So what do you guys think?